The brightest lights cast the darkest shadows, and your rise has turned their season of comfort into a winter of reckoning. They wanted peace under their tree, but all they're getting is the truth wrapped in iron chains. The holidays are supposed to be a time of celebration, reflection, and joy. But for them, it's panic disguised as cheer. While they string up their lights and sing their carols, you're the unshakable reminder of what they tried so hard to suppress. Every move you make, every success you claim, it's a crack in their carefully constructed facade. It's not the darkness that haunts them, it's the undeniable glow of the truth they can no longer ignore. The tables have turned, and their holiday magic feels more like a curse. They wanted to write you off, dismiss you as nothing more than a fleeting thought, a passing challenge. Instead, you became their haunting reality. Now they sit in their holiday best, feigning smiles while the weight of your triumph looms over them like a shadow they can't shake. And the irony, you didn't need to lift a finger. The power of your rise isn't just in what you've done, it's in what they can no longer deny. While they wrap their empty justifications in shiny bows, you've been unwrapping the truth piece by piece, revealing a reality they refuse to see. Chosen one, if you're ready to make this season the ultimate reckoning, if you're done waiting for recognition and ready to claim the power you've had all along, take action. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs to see it. Comment the number 77 below if you're done playing small, done shrinking for their comfort, and ready to rise. Let's take this holiday season and make it unforgettable for all the right reasons. And you, yes, you, the chosen one, welcome back to manifest your dreams. The snow may fall, the carolers may sing, but let's not get it twisted. This isn't a season of harmony for them. No, your rise has thrown a wrench into their picture-perfect narrative. The truth is, like a blizzard, it doesn't wait for an invitation. It roars in, unapologetic and undeniable. They wanted this season to be about their victories, their comfort, their sense of control. But your success, it's the lump of coal they didn't see coming. Every move you've made this year has been a mirror reflecting the cracks in their world. And now, as they sit under their glittering trees, they can't help but feel the sting of your presence. The hardest thing for them to face this season isn't your triumph. It's the realization that they were wrong all along. This isn't just a holiday, it's a reckoning. Your rise is the undeniable gift that keeps on giving, and no amount of tinsel or glitter can hide the truth. Chosen one, this is your moment. Their nightmare is your season of justice, and the truth is here to stay. Are you ready to dive deep into this? As of today, we're pulling back the curtain and exposing it all. No sugarcoating, no holding back. We're going to explore in detail the journey they're about to embark on, the cracks in their world, the ripple effects of their denial, and the emotional reckoning they can no longer escape. This isn't just about their realization. It's about the uncomfortable, undeniable truth that will unravel their carefully constructed illusions. We're breaking down how your rise shakes their foundation, why it feels like their holiday joy is slipping through their fingers, and what happens next as they're forced to face what they've avoided for far too long. Get ready, chosen one. This is more than a conversation. It's a revelation. The truth they ran from is finally catching up, and you're already 10 steps ahead, watching as the pieces fall exactly where they were destined to land. Let's go deep into their journey, the highs, the lows, and the inevitable moment where they finally confront what's been staring them in the face. Stay tuned, because this is going to be one unforgettable ride. Let's begin. Step 1. The holiday facade begins. Every towering facade begins with a single crack, hidden beneath the tinsel and glitter, but the truth doesn't need permission to break through. It simply waits for the weight to become unbearable. The holidays arrive like an elaborate masquerade ball, and for them, it's the perfect excuse to don their brightest mask. The shimmering lights and cheerful carols serve as their temporary shield, a thin veneer meant to distract from the growing unease beneath the surface. They hang their ornaments with care, not because they're celebrating, but because they're hiding. The sparkle of the season becomes their weapon of choice, a desperate attempt to convince themselves and everyone else that everything is just as it should be. But underneath the surface, the cracks are forming, slow and steady, like ice splitting under the pressure of a frozen lake. Every cheerful greeting, every forced laugh at the dinner table is another layer of wrapping paper around the truth they refuse to face. They think that by piling on more lights, more decor, more holiday spirit, they can drown out the whispers of doubt that have been haunting them. But truth is relentless, and it doesn't care how many bows and garlands they throw on top. It knows how to find its way out. Denial may be wrapped in the prettiest paper, but it can't cover the weight of a gift no one wants to open. Look closely, and you'll see it. Their smiles don't quite reach their eyes. Their laughter has an edge to it, brittle like frost on a window pane, ready to crack at the slightest touch. They cling to their holiday rituals like a lifeline, as if the act of pouring eggnog or lighting candles can somehow patch the fractures in their foundation. But deep down, they know the facade isn't for you or for the people around them. It's for themselves. Why doesn't this feel right? They'll wonder as they sit beneath their perfectly adorned tree, staring at the flickering lights that seem dimmer than they remember. The truth is, the glow of their decorations is no match for the shadow of regret creeping closer. They remember the times they dismissed you, the warnings they ignored, the chances they had to listen but didn't. And now, those memories linger like ghosts of Christmas past, rattling their chains just loud enough to be heard over the carols. A cracked foundation can't hold the weight of a castle built on denial. This isn't the season of joy they imagined. It's a season of reckoning disguised as a holiday celebration. They may decorate their homes with lights and laughter, but they can't escape the growing awareness that their facade is as fragile as a glass ornament. And every glance in your direction is a reminder that no amount of holiday cheer can undo the truth you carry. Their season of comfort has turned into a countdown. Every twinkle of a light is a second ticking away, bringing them closer to the moment when the facade falls and the truth finally breaks through. They can string up all the lights they want, but shadows always find a way to seep through. Step 2. The shadow of regret. Regret isn't loud, it whispers, creeping in like shadows under a door, quiet but impossible to ignore. When the glitter of their holiday facade begins to settle, when the noise of forced cheer fades into the stillness of a winter night, that's when it happens. The shadow of regret slips in unnoticed, wrapping around their thoughts like a cold, relentless wind. It doesn't demand their attention outright, not yet. It lurks, waiting for the quiet moments, the pauses between the clinking glasses and fake laughter, to remind them of what they can't escape. It starts subtly, like the soft glow of a dying ember in the fireplace. A fleeting thought here, a pang of discomfort there. They tell themselves it's just the holiday stress, the busyness of the season, but they know better. Deep down, they recognize that the warmth they're trying so desperately to generate has no real fire behind it. And as the days inch closer to the new year, the regret begins to take shape, casting a shadow that stretches further with every passing hour. Regret is a mirror. They avoid it, but it never stops reflecting. They'll sit by their glowing trees, their carefully wrapped gifts stacked high, but the glow feels dimmer now. The shine of the holidays can't distract them from the questions echoing in their minds. What did I miss? How did I get it so wrong? Why didn't I see it sooner? The shadow grows darker, heavier, as they replay the moments they dismissed you. The words they spoke to belittle your truth. The chances they had to understand but turned away from. The regret feels like frost creeping up the windows, a coldness that no holiday cheer can warm. They'll search for distractions, more decorations to hang, more songs to play, more parties to host. But the stillness always returns. In the silence of the night, when the world slows down and the weight of their choices catches up to them, they finally feel it. The sting of realizing that their doubt, their dismissal, their arrogance was a mistake they can no longer take back. Regret grows in the spaces where pride once stood. Their shadow doesn't just remind them of what they lost, it reminds them of what you gained. While they mocked, you moved forward. While they clung to their illusions, you built your truth. And now, as they sit in the cold glow of their regret, they see it clearly. Your success isn't a phase. Your rise isn't a coincidence. It's the inevitable result of the truths they fought so hard to deny. They may try to silence the shadow with distractions, but shadows don't disappear when you ignore them. They grow. This holiday season isn't the escape they hoped for. It's a reckoning they can't avoid. The shadow of regret is here to stay, haunting their every quiet moment, reminding them that the time they spent ignoring the truth is time they'll never get back. And now they can only sit with the weight of what could have been, watching as the shadow stretches further into their carefully constructed world. Step 3. The ghost of your rise. A truth denied doesn't vanish. It lingers, haunting like a spectre, whispering of what could no longer be ignored. As the shadow of regret tightens its grip, another presence makes itself known. The ghost of your rise. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare or dramatics. It simply appears, subtle but inescapable, casting a light so sharp it feels like an accusation. No matter where they turn, it's there, standing tall, a silent reminder of everything they once mocked, doubted, or dismissed about you. The ghost doesn't haunt them in the traditional sense. There are no rattling chains or eerie wails. Instead, it lingers in the quiet moments of their holiday gatherings, woven into the fabric of every conversation, every flicker of a candle's flame. It shows up in the stories they overhear about your success, in the awkward pauses when your name is mentioned, and in the uncomfortable looks exchanged across the dinner table when someone dares to ask, "Have you heard what they've been up to lately?" Haunting isn't about fear, it's about presence, undeniable and unshakable. They thought they could outrun the truth of your rise by drowning themselves in holiday cheer, but your success is everywhere. It's in the casual updates shared by mutual friends. It's in the comparisons they make in their minds, no matter how hard they try to suppress them. It's in the nagging thought they can't quite shake. How did we miss this? How did we let them slip so far ahead? Like a ghost, your rise follows them, silent but powerful. It doesn't need to scream or shout to be noticed. It's felt. It lingers in their insecurities, their regrets, their overwhelming awareness that while they stayed rooted in their comfort zones, you were evolving, growing, thriving. The past they ignored now becomes the future they can't escape. They remember how they dismissed you, the times they rolled their eyes at your vision, whispered behind your back, or laughed at your ambition. Those moments replay in their minds now, not as victories but as warnings they failed to heed. And as they sit beneath their carefully adorned trees, the ghost of your rise is the uninvited guest at their holiday celebration, a presence they can't deny or explain away. Even in their attempts to ignore it, it follows them. It's there in the silence after the laughter fades, in the reflective glow of holiday lights that suddenly seem dim. It's in the faces of those around them who look at you with admiration, who acknowledge what they've avoided. Ghosts don't haunt places, they haunt minds weighed down by the weight of what could have been. The ghost of your rise isn't just a reminder of your success. It's a mirror showing them everything they didn't do, couldn't see, or refused to believe. And now, as the holidays move forward, they carry it with them, not as a guest to their festivities, but as a constant, undeniable presence. Your rise is their reckoning, and it's a story they can't rewrite, no matter how hard they try to escape its shadow. Step 4. The festive denial. Denial doesn't destroy the truth. It simply delays the inevitable, wrapping it in tinsel and pretending it's a gift no one will ever open. By now, the cracks are beginning to show. The shadow of regret lingers, and the ghost of your rise casts its undeniable presence over their carefully constructed holiday. But denial, like a desperate decorator clinging to last year's traditions, steps in to cover the truth with yet another layer of glitter and distraction. They're not ready to face reality, not yet. Instead, they double down, clinging to the illusion that if they just celebrate harder, louder and brighter, the truth might stay hidden a little longer. They dive headfirst into the festivities, overloading their schedules with parties, decorations, and endless checklists. They pile on more lights, more gifts, more drinks, mistaking quantity for quality, hoping the busyness will drown out the whispers of doubt in their minds. But denial isn't a cure. It's a temporary sedative. No matter how high they stack their distractions, the truth looms over them like a star atop their tree, visible from every angle. Denial is a house made of gingerbread, sweet on the outside, but crumbling under the slightest pressure. You can see it in the way they overcompensate. They become the loudest voices in the room, the ones insisting everyone be merry and bright. They're the first to organize a caroling event, the ones who insist on an extra round of eggnog. But it's not joy that fuels their enthusiasm, it's desperation. The truth they've avoided has become too heavy to bear, so they cover it up with layers of artificial cheer. Their festive denial isn't just for others, it's for themselves. Every forced laugh, every elaborate centerpiece, every perfectly curated holiday photo is a distraction aimed at silencing the voice inside them that says, "You were wrong, you missed it, and now it's too late." They won't admit it, of course. Admitting it would mean unraveling the years they've spent building their illusions. So instead, they build bigger, brighter facades, hoping the cracks don't show. Holiday lights can't outshine the shadows of the truths left unspoken. But no amount of holiday decor can mask what they feel when your name comes up in conversation, or when someone mentions your latest success. They try to brush it off with a smile, but inside, their denial shakes. It's the quiet moments that haunt them most, the silence after the party ends, the stillness of a winter night when there's nothing left to distract them. That's when the facade starts to crumble. Denial may seem festive, but it's fragile. They can hang all the ornaments they want, but they can't stop the tree from leaning under the weight of everything they've tried to ignore. And deep down, They know. They know that no matter how bright their lights shine, they can't outshine the truth they've buried. The festive denial is temporary, a fleeting moment of false comfort before the inevitable collapse. Because truth, no matter how deeply hidden, always finds its way through. Step 5. The what-if spiral. Regret is a quiet torment, but what if is its cruelest voice, asking questions they can never answer and forcing them to relive the moments they can never undo. By now, the facade has crumbled. The shadow of regret looms large, and the ghost of your eyes is an ever-present reminder of their missteps. But it's in the stillness of the season, the long, quiet nights by the fire, the hushed hours before dawn, that the what-if spiral begins to take hold. It starts as a flicker, a thought that lingers too long, a moment of reflection that turns into a cascade of second guesses. And before they know it, they're drowning in a sea of possibilities that all lead back to one undeniable truth. They could have done things differently, but they didn't. What if they had listened? What if they had believed in your vision instead of dismissing it? What if they hadn't been so blinded by their pride? The spiral doesn't arrive with warning. It sneaks in during a casual conversation, triggered by a passing comment or a memory they can't shake. One moment, they're laughing at a holiday joke, and the next, they're gripped by the nagging thought, "What if I had seen it sooner?" Like the pull of a whirlpool, the spiral draws them deeper with every twist of regret. Each question leads to another, each scenario more painful than the last. The cruelty of what if is its ability to rewrite the past in ways reality never could. They imagine the moments they scoffed at your ideas, the times they turned their back on your efforts, the laughter they shared at your expense. In the spiral, those moments don't feel like jokes. They feel like missed chances, doors they slammed shut without a second thought. They start to see the crossroads they once ignored. What if they had supported you instead of doubting you? What if they had stood by you instead of turning away? What if they had trusted your clarity instead of fearing it? The spiral doesn't stop there. It turns inward, reflecting their own shortcomings, their own insecurities. It asks questions they're too afraid to answer. What does it say about me that I couldn't see their potential? Why did I need them to fail to feel secure? Was I so consumed by my own arrogance that I missed the obvious? These questions cut deeper than they ever expected, piercing the armor of excuses they've worn for so long. Regret doesn't live in the past. It grows in the present, fed by the things we chose to ignore. The holidays, with all their forced cheer and reflection, only fuel the spiral. As they sit under their tree, surrounded by wrapped presents and empty laughter, the what-if spiral plays on repeat. Each thought is a step further down, a reminder of the reality they tried to avoid and the potential they threw away. There's no escape from it now. The spiral has taken hold, and every what-if drags them deeper into the truth. Your rise was inevitable, and their failure to see it was their greatest mistake. And as the spiral spins on, they're left with the bitter realization that the only thing more painful than regret is knowing it could have been avoided. Step 6. The illusion crumbles. An illusion, no matter how beautifully crafted, can only hold until the weight of truth presses down. It doesn't shatter all at once, but piece by piece, until nothing remains. The holiday season was supposed to be their sanctuary, a glittering escape from the harsh realities they refused to face. But no facade lasts forever. What began as cracks beneath the surface has now grown into a spiderweb of fractures, splintering across the illusion they clung to so desperately. The garlands lose their charm, the holiday lights flicker, and the smiles they wear feel as fragile as the glass ornaments on their tree. The illusion is crumbling, and there's no putting it back together. It doesn't happen all at once. It never does. The realization creeps in slowly, like frost spreading across a window pane. Each piece of their carefully constructed narrative begins to fall apart under the pressure of undeniable truths. The stories they told themselves, the excuses they leaned on, the mockery they once hurled at you, all of it now feels hollow, meaningless, like wrapping paper torn apart to reveal a gift they never wanted to receive. Lies can glitter like tinsel, but truth is the gravity that pulls it all down. You don't need to say a word. Your rise is the silent force that strips away their illusions, exposing what was always there but never acknowledged. As they sit in their carefully decorated homes, trying to soak in the joy of the season, they feel the shift. The warmth they tried so hard to conjure feels cold. Their traditions feel empty, and the weight of their own denial presses heavier than ever. This isn't just a crumbling of their holiday spirit, it's the collapse of their sense of superiority. The illusion they built wasn't just a lie to the world, it was a lie to themselves. They convinced themselves they were untouchable, always ahead, always right. But now, as the pieces fall, they see it clearly. Your silence wasn't weakness, your patience wasn't passivity, and your rise wasn't luck. Every brick in their illusion crumbles under the weight of that realization. A tower built on denial can only stand until the truth demands its reckoning. They'll try to hold on to what's left, but it's futile. The forced laughter feels strained. The holiday traditions seem like a desperate distraction, and every time your name is mentioned, every time someone praises your accomplishments, it's another blow to the facade they worked so hard to maintain. The illusion is no longer a safe haven, it's a prison collapsing around them. And as they look around, searching for something to salvage, they come to a stark realization. The only thing holding the illusion together was their refusal to see the truth. Now that the truth is here, shining brighter than any holiday light, there's nothing left to hide behind. The illusion crumbles completely, leaving them exposed to the one thing they tried so hard to avoid: the undeniable reality of your rise. Truth doesn't destroy, it reveals. And once the illusion is gone, what remains is all that ever truly existed. Step 7. The realization hits. Realization strikes not like a gentle dawn, but like a bolt of lightning tearing through the facade, leaving no corner untouched by its light. The holiday cheer has faded into the quiet hum of routine. The garlands droop, the once bright lights flicker, and the laughter that felt forced now disappears altogether. It is in this stillness that the inevitable happens. The realization hits. It doesn't knock politely or ask for permission. It crashes in, uninvited and undeniable, tearing through the layers of denial they worked so hard to maintain. For weeks they've tried to convince themselves that everything was fine. They leaned on excuses, clung to distractions, and doubled down on the holiday pageantry to drown out the nagging voices in their minds. But now, in the quiet moments between the celebrations, the truth lands with the weight of a snowstorm collapsing a fragile rooftop. The truth is this: you were right, and they were wrong. Your rise wasn't luck or circumstance. It was the outcome of clarity, vision, and persistence they never had the courage to face. Truth doesn't wait for an invitation. It arrives when denial is weakest. The realization comes in waves, each one stronger than the last. At first, it's a quiet thought, something they try to brush aside, but it grows louder, sharper, until it becomes impossible to ignore. They see your success in its full brilliance, not as a fleeting moment, but as a reflection of everything they denied about you. Every step you took, every truth you carried, every decision you made, it all aligns into a story they can no longer pretend doesn't exist. The realization isn't just about you, it's about them. It's about the times they laughed when they should have listened, the moments they dismissed when they should have learned. It's about their own choices, their own refusal to acknowledge what was right in front of them. And now, as they sit with the weight of this truth, they feel the sting of every opportunity they let slip away. Realization doesn't just reveal the truth, it exposes the lies we told ourselves to avoid it. They replay your words in their minds, the ones they scoffed at or ignored. They see now that you weren't just speaking, you were predicting. Your vision wasn't some abstract fantasy. It was the reality they lacked the courage to see. And now, as that reality unfolds in front of them, the bitterness of regret mixes with the sour taste of their own pride. But here's the cruelest part of all. Realization offers no comfort. It doesn't come with an undo button or a second chance. It only leaves them with the knowledge of what they've lost, the time, the respect, the opportunity to stand beside you instead of against you. They see now what you've known all along, but the understanding comes too late. When the realization hits, it's not the truth that hurts, it's the time wasted denying it. Now, as they watch your rise continue, they feel the cold clarity of what could have been. Their realization is not a moment of triumph, it's a reckoning they'll carry long after the holiday lights go out. Step 8. The desperate rewriting. When the truth becomes undeniable, the only thing left for them is to rewrite the story. But the ink of regret stains every page. By the time they've felt the sting of regret and faced the ghost of your rise, desperation begins to seep into their every word and action. It's not bold, loud, or confident anymore. It's scrambling, clumsy, and forced. This is the phase where they try to rewrite history, clawing at the narrative to salvage their pride. But the truth they're up against is immovable. They'll start with subtle edits, careful changes to how they describe you. The mocking tone they once used to talk about your ambitions shifts into something almost admiring, but not quite. It's peppered with phrases like, "I always knew they had potential," or "We could see they were onto something big, even back then." But the reality is this: they didn't see it, they didn't believe it, and now their sudden change of tone reeks of desperation, like someone trying to save face after losing a game they didn't know they were playing. The desperate rewriting of the past doesn't erase the truth. It only exposes how wrong they were all along. They try to frame themselves as part of your journey, as if their doubt, mockery, or indifference was somehow a form of support. They'll sprinkle compliments into conversations, carefully worded to sound like they were cheering you on from the sidelines the entire time. But you can feel the unease in their voices. Their words are brittle, breaking under the weight of the reality they're trying to rewrite. This rewriting extends to their interactions with others. They'll drop your name casually in conversations, trying to create the illusion that they were always close to you, that they always believed in you. It's their attempt to tether themselves to your success, to paint over the truth of their disbelief with a thin coat of admiration. Rewriting the past is like trying to patch a sinking ship with paper. It only makes the holes more obvious. What they don't realize is that their attempts at rewriting the story only make their initial rejection of you more glaring. The people they share their revised versions with can see through it, even if no one says it outright. The cracks in their narrative are as obvious as a broken ornament on a glittering tree. You see it too. You don't need to call it out, because the truth speaks for itself. Their desperation to rewrite the story is proof of your rise, of their miscalculation, and of the undeniable fact that you were right all along. The truth doesn't need rewriting, it only needs time to be revealed. Their rewriting is a futile attempt to catch up to the present, but the gap between you and them isn't just time, it's understanding, growth, and action. While they're busy trying to edit the past, you're already writing the next chapter, and no amount of desperation can close the distance now. Step 9. The awkward gratitude. Gratitude offered too late isn't a gift, it's a confession wrapped in discomfort. By now, they've run out of moves. The facade has crumbled, regret has taken root, and their attempts at rewriting the narrative have fallen flat. Left with no other choice, they reluctantly extend the olive branch. Awkward gratitude. It's not genuine, it's a fumbling attempt to save face, to patch up what their pride tore down. But gratitude given under the weight of discomfort is as clumsy as it is revealing. It usually starts with a forced compliment, dropped casually into a conversation, or slipped into a message. "You've really done well for yourself," they'll say, their tone betraying the unease they can't hide. The words feel hollow, like ornaments hanging on a tree that's already begun to wilt. You can feel it. This isn't admiration. It's obligation, a desperate attempt to acknowledge your success without fully confronting their own missteps. True gratitude comes from the heart. Awkward gratitude comes from the cornered ego. Their gratitude feels rehearsed, like lines in a play they didn't want to be cast in. They'll offer polite smiles and carefully crafted words, hoping to mask the tension that simmers just below the surface. But gratitude isn't something you can fake, not convincingly. It's not the words themselves, but the energy behind them, and their energy is heavy with the weight of pride they're still trying to protect. In some cases, they might try to overcompensate, piling on compliments in a way that feels unnatural, almost exaggerated. "You've always been brilliant," they'll say, conveniently ignoring the years they spent dismissing your ideas, laughing at your ambitions, or doubting your capabilities. Their sudden enthusiasm feels as out of place as a snowstorm in July, and you can't help but notice how uncomfortable they look delivering it. Awkward gratitude isn't about celebrating you, it's about easing their guilt. What they don't realize is that their discomfort speaks louder than their words. Their stammering attempts at gratitude are less about you and more about them. It's an unspoken confession of their doubt, an acknowledgement of how wrong they were without having to say it outright. They can't bring themselves to say, "I'm sorry, I didn't believe in you." So they try to cover it up with compliments that feel as forced as their holiday smiles. You don't need their gratitude, and you certainly don't need it like this. The truth is, you've already moved past the need for their validation. You see their gratitude for what it is, an attempt to soothe their own conscience, not a celebration of your accomplishments. Gratitude offered from guilt is a hollow gesture. It fills the space but not the heart. And so you accept it, but not because you need it. You accept it because it's another sign of how far you've come, how much you've grown, and how undeniable your truth has become. Their awkward gratitude isn't your reward. It's their reckoning. Step 10. The reckoning. Truth doesn't rush. It arrives on time, and when it does, it's not a gentle knock. It's the door crashing down. The holidays were never meant to shield them forever. The garlands have started to wilt, the lights dim, and the cheerful facade crumbles under the weight of what can no longer be ignored. The reckoning is here, And it's not the storm they prepared for, it's the flood they never saw coming. They've spent the season distracting themselves, wrapping denial in tinsel, pretending their world could remain untouched. But truth, like time, doesn't take holidays off. The quiet whispers of regret, the haunting presence of your rise, they've all been building to this moment, gathering like snow on an overburdened roof. And now, the roof gives way. Denial delays, but it never cancels the inevitable. This is the part where it all comes crashing down. The moments they dismissed you, the chances they had to listen, the arrogance they clung to, all of it returns with brutal clarity. The truths they avoided, the illusions they crafted, are no match for the reality they face now. Their perfectly curated version of the world collapses under the sheer weight of the reckoning they've tried to ignore. The realization doesn't come all at once. It creeps in like a cold wind under the door, growing stronger until it becomes a storm. It's in the glances exchanged at the dinner table, the uncomfortable silences that linger too long, the nervous energy that fills the room when your success is mentioned. They're not just reflecting on what went wrong, they're staring into the unrelenting face of truth. You can't negotiate with reality, it doesn't compromise. They finally see it with a clarity that feels like a slap in the face. You were right. All along, you were ahead, not because of luck or chance, but because of vision, strategy, and resilience they refused to acknowledge. And now, while they scramble to piece together the wreckage of their denial, you stand steady, untouched by the chaos that consumes them. This is their reckoning, and it cuts deep. It's not just about your rise, it's about the realization that their arrogance, their doubt, and their dismissal were their undoing. They thought they could avoid the truth, but truth has a way of finding them anyway, standing unshaken, waiting for the moment they're forced to look it in the eye. The cost of denial is always paid in regret. But the harshest part of their reckoning isn't just accepting that they were wrong, it's realizing that you never needed their validation. Your rise didn't depend on their belief, and your success was never tied to their acknowledgement. While they wasted energy denying your truth, you were building a future that speaks for itself. Now, as the new year looms and the holiday distractions fade, they're left with nothing but the reckoning they've delayed for far too long. The truth has arrived, and it's here to stay. This isn't just a reckoning for them, it's your vindication. Step 11. The bitter acceptance. The hardest truth to swallow is not that they were wrong, it's that they were wrong about you. After months, perhaps years of denial, the moment they've been avoiding finally arrives. The facade has crumbled, the shadows have consumed them, and now, standing amidst the wreckage of their illusions, they are left with no choice but to confront the truth. This is not the triumphant awakening they might have hoped for. It's a cold, bitter reckoning. The bitter acceptance sets in, sharp and relentless, like winter winds that chill them to their very core. There is no way to spin it anymore. No excuses, no deflections, no false narratives can shield them now. They see it as clearly as the frost on the window pane. You were right. Your rise was not luck, not coincidence, not a fleeting moment of success. It was inevitable. The clarity they ridiculed, the wisdom they dismissed, the truth they fought so hard to reject. All of it now stands before them, unyielding and undeniable. Acceptance doesn't come with peace. It comes with the weight of what was lost in its absence. They'll sit in silence, staring into the dim glow of their holiday lights, but the warmth they once sought there has gone. What remains is the ache of understanding what their arrogance cost them. Their thoughts swirl with regrets, like snowflakes in a blizzard, piling up faster than they can process. Why didn't we see it sooner? Why did we fight so hard to deny it? How could we have been so blind? But these questions have no answers that can ease their pain. The truth doesn't come with comfort. It comes with consequences. And those consequences are not just about what they failed to see. They're about who they failed to see. It's not just that they ignored the truth. They ignored you. They dismissed your insights, undermined your strength, belittled your journey, and now they must confront the bitter reality that they were wrong. Not just wrong in their actions, but wrong in their judgment of you. That realization cuts the deepest. Arrogance was their fortress, and now the rubble is their reminder. The bitter acceptance doesn't stop at acknowledgement. It forces them to sit in the cold light of their mistakes. They remember the mocking words, the condescending looks, the opportunities they had to listen but chose not to. And now, as they stare at the path you forged, a path they once dismissed, they can no longer deny that you've surpassed them in ways they never imagined possible. They'll try to rationalize it, to soften the blow, but the truth is unmoving. It's not your validation they crave now. It's relief from the sting of their own pride. They may offer awkward apologies or hesitant praise, but even in their attempts to make amends, you'll see the bitterness lingering in their eyes. Acceptance is not the end of the journey, it's the beginning of their regret. For them, this holiday season will forever carry the weight of this bitter truth. You rose above them, not because they failed, but because you refused to stop. And while they may finally accept it, they'll never truly forget the cost of their denial. Step 12. The holiday nightmare lingers. The worst nightmares are not the ones that haunt you in sleep. They're the ones you wake up to and realize will never go away. As the holiday season winds down, the facade they've clung to collapses completely, leaving them alone with the undeniable weight of their failures. The laughter of holiday gatherings fades, the gifts are unwrapped, and the lights come down. But the ghost of your rise, the shadow of regret, and the bitter acceptance remain, lingering long after the festivities are over. Every attempt to move forward is met with the same unshakable truth. Their denial wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice, and that choice cost them dearly. They carry the weight of every moment they dismissed you, every truth they ignored, and every time they underestimated your strength. This nightmare isn't about what they've lost. It's about what you've gained. Your success looms larger now, undeniable and ever-present. A reminder that while they stagnated, you thrived. Their holiday nightmare doesn't fade with the season. It's woven into their reality now, a constant reminder of the truths they refuse to face, and the power you've always carried. And as they step into the new year, the only resolution they can make is to live with the consequences of their own actions. The holidays may end, but the truth doesn't. Your rise isn't just a season, it's a force, permanent and unshakable. While they grapple with regret, you stand tall, unbothered, and unstoppable. This was never about proving them wrong, it was about proving yourself right. Chosen one, your journey has just begun. If you're ready to leave their denial behind and step fully into your power, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Comment, "I'm unstoppable," if you're ready to rise above it all. Let's move forward together. Your truth is waiting.